wrong one. I have to shut it off and give it the right one. So, it's not.
We've ended our last year with the difference between the Ramban and the Rambam. The difference between their approaches to Yemot HaMashiach is that we see that the Rambam writes about the physical world, a regular world that stays, no changes, wonders and miracles won't be. It will be only a regular world, but the privilege is that we have the opportunity to involve ourselves in Torah and mitzvot as a Jewish people totally, 100%. The Ramban says an interesting approach. He says a different one. He says that the world will come back to the days of Adam HaRishon, of the first man. And what kind of world is that? Is a world without sin, that the man won't sin. There will be no opportunity for sinning, because there will be no opportunity for basically free choice. It's not that it's bad that we don't have a free choice, but our free choice, in a way, will always lead us to the good thing, to the right thing. Sorry. And this is the way of the Ramban. And for that, actually, the Hasidic masters and our rabbis held his approach, because he was a Kabbalist and he was more deep and wasn't truly going according to simple explanations of our prophets, but on the contrary, he was going very deep in the inyan of Mashiach. And for that, the Chassidus, by general, goes with the approach of the Ramban. That there will be a time that, by simplicity, a wolf will live with a lamb, and there will be no war, and there will be no sins, there will be no Yetzer Hara. How is that no be Yetzer Hara? Because it's like the times before the first man ate from the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge, there where it started, all bad. It's not actually all bad started there, because the bad was already created. As we read in the creation of the world, even in Rashi, that in the fifth day, or some say in the second day, the demons and the evil forces were created by Hashem. But they were totally separated. And what happened when the first man ate the fruit, he basically mixed the bad and the good in the world. And the Rebbe Maharash brings a very nice example to this mixing. He says that there are few things that we can mix in the world. There is solid that mixed with solid, and this is liquid with liquid. What is the difference between those two? That a solid, when we are mixing it with another solid, let's take an example of a salad, of a green salad. When we mix avocado and tomatoes and onion, so if after that I would like to eat tomato separately, I can do that. Maybe it will take me an effort, but it can be done. It's possible without no very high technology to separate those. But if I will mix liquid with liquid, let's say I want to drink a nice juice, but I want to add some water to it. When I mix those two, and after that I'll say, you know what, I don't want no water, I will just plain mix, plain juice. It will be very hard for me to separate them, because they are totally mixed together. Their molecules already became almost one. And that's what the Rebbe Maharaj says. He says that the bad and the good in the world, they were mixed almost in the world before Adam Arishonis sin, first man. And therefore, you could easily separate between bad and good. Adam Arishon could easily separate between bad and good. He could say to himself, okay, this is good and this is bad. And they know that the Nachash, right, that the snake is bad. We'll get to the whole story why it's happened. They knew it's bad. They knew and they felt they knew that it's bad. Very simply. In our world, in our days, sometimes, and in the majority of times, not sometimes, majority of times, we don't know what's good and what's bad. We're totally mixed, and until such point that there is no good, actually, that there is no bad inside of it, and there is no bad that doesn't have good inside of it. This is until such point the world is mixed. So when the Ramban said that the world will come to the times before the sin, we can understand that it will come to a time that maybe, we don't say it yet, the bad is there, but it's not mixed. It's totally not involved. And we can easily separate it and we can easily say, okay, this is bad and this is good. And therefore, there will be no animal war as it was before the sin. Only after the sin, the blood of the man was actually approved to be eaten by animals. But before that, no. And so and so. So all of the prophecies that the Rambam says that they are allegories, according to the Ramban, they're very simple. There is no problem. That the wolf will live with the lamb, no problem. That there will be no Yetzer Haram, no problem. Because it times, different times. All right. So we'll continue forward. As we know that in the Torah Rebbe, as we said, in the Rebbe's Torah, everything is combined together. We need to see what is the gold line and the golden road that will connect the Rambam's opinion and the Ramban opinion. Okay. So let's start and see. According to the Rambam, the wonders that Mashiach will do, and according to the Ramban, that there will be times that will go back to the times before the sin, there will be no miracles in the Yamot HaMashiach that they are changing totally the nature. Basically, Rambam says that everything is an allegory. The Ramban says we're just coming back to the same days. So it's not a miracle. It's not changing. A miracle, by definition, is something that changes the rule of nature. Here, we're not talking about changing rule of nature. To the Rambam, of course, we're not changing. And to the Ramban, we're just changing the rules. But this is the original rules that already been there. It's not something that we need to invent from the beginning. Those rules are already been. There were times that those rules were applied only for 3 hours or 5 hours, but this is not something new. But there will be miracles, such miracles that we could actually explain them by natural sequence. Moreover than that, according to the Ramban, those all what is Yamot HaMashiach is bringing with, according to the Ramban, it's not really something new. It's just, as we said, coming back to a times that it was already been. And last, we can say that we are talking about the same world that we know, with all of the natural laws that we know of putting the seed in the ground and it grows, eating and sleeping, and winter and summer, everything that we know is all the rules of nature as we know them. They won't change, but it will be a world of only good, without no way of and no shape of bad at all, no loss, Be no loss, no feeling of loss that the person feels that they've been losing. No. And if we'll compare it to the Rambam's saying, so the Rambam says it straightforward. You say, Al ya'ale al halev שבيמות המשיח יבטל דבר ממנהגו של עולם, או יש שם חידוש במעשה בראשית. So Rambam says it right away. He says that you won't need to think and your heart doesn't need to feel that something will be canceled, something will be changed in the world to come. There'll be some changing in the creation. So, Hareni Flaot, those wonders, or if they are considered as changing the regular world, they cannot still be considered as really something new in the creation. And moreover than that, to the Ramban, as we said, this is the original world. Ramban says that we just will come back to the original world. But we're a couple years after, a couple 100 years after the Rambam and the Ramban, and Baruch Hashem, we have the Torah Chassidus. And Torah Chassidus, especially Chassidus Chabad, is talking about something more deeper. It goes even more deeper. And it says that in the world to come, it will be a change by essence, not a minimal change, and not something that will be explained according to the rules of logic and nature. It's not the idea. It is that will be totally different world by essence. Maybe with our eyes we'll see the same world, but our feeling and our approach to the world is totally different. And what does it say? He brings the famous chapter 36 in Tanya, where Alter Rebbe is describing Yamot HaMashiach, is describing what will be when the Mashiach will comes. And there he states the famous statement that Chassidus, it's quote from a Midrash, but it's a famous state that goes with Chassidus everywhere, and especially with Chassidus Chabad, that Nitava Kadosh Baruch Hu liot lo yitbarach dira b'tachtonim, that the Almighty his lust is to dwell in the lower worlds. His will, but it's not will, it's nitava, it's lust, is that in this world, in this physical world, he will be, basically it will be a dwelling place for him. It will be his apartment, right? If we'll translate it word by word. Dira is an apartment. And why so important? Because it's a total different approach. It means that the Alter Rebbe says that Hashem wants to dwell here, wants to live here, meaning he wants to live. Why he says an apartment? Because like a person that reveal all of himself in his home, in his house, this is how Hashem wants to reveal himself in this place. Because actually a person, if he's not in his home, if he's outside, it's not only, it doesn't have to be on the street, but it can be in somebody else's house, or in the yeshiva, or in the Beis Midrash, or in the seminar, whenever. If it's not his home, you can never tell what it's person about, how he acts really when he feels really comfortable, when he feels in his comfortable zone. There, how he acts, right? And this is very important because this is basically bringing the essence of the person out. And the Alter Rebbe, this is what he points out from this allegory that the Midrash brings, that Hashem wants to, all of the essence of Hashem will be revealed basically in this world, that there is no comparison to that in the higher world. And it's not only as he brings here in the book. It's not only that Hashem, his kingdom, will be on all the world, meaning that all the world, as we say in Rosh Hashanah, in the praying, we say that Yomar kol asher be'apo, ויצור, כל יצור שאתה יצרתו, יאמר, בכל אשר נשמה באפו, יאמר השם אלוקי ישראל מלך, ומלכותו על כל משלה. That every creature of the world will say that God is the king. Hashem HaMelech, he is the king and he's ruling on everything. This is not what the Alter Rebbe points out to Yemot HaMashiach. This is a total different approach. And because when we say that Hashem is a king, Hashem is our king, Hashem is ruling on us, it's okay. But it leaves Hashem in this high seat in the throne, right, in the castle. And from there, Hashem is ruling and controlling and moving the world like a king from his castle. And this is actually what we're doing all the time today, right? Even in the exile, we're doing that. When a Jew says Shema Israel with intention, what does it mean? Shema Israel what? Shem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, meaning what? That he is the only ruler. He is the one who is controlling the world. He is the king of the world. And so this idea that all the world will serve Hashem, it's still not the essence of Yemot HaMashiach. It's a great time. We wish, Bezrat Hashem, that this time will come too, that everybody will understand that the man is not controlling the world, and of course, not any other creation, not the moon and the sun, of course, and nobody's ruling all over the world, but Hashem by himself, and this is the kingdom of Hashem. But when we say that Hashem will have a dwelling place over here, that this world will be like an apartment for Hashem, we're meaning that Hashem will reveal himself here in his essence, and that we'll feel his presence 100%. It's not only that we will understand that he's controlling us like a king, we will feel him down here in the world as somebody that is it's something that is connected with me deeply. It's an essence of things. It's my sight that will change. It's my mind that will change. It's my heart that will change. Everything will be else. This is what the Alter Rebbe writes. He writes that the Almighty Light will be present in this dark world, in this dark material world, with more power and with more privilege than what he is lightening in the upper worlds. That there he is enlightening those worlds only by concealment and only by hiding himself, right? That they won't get nullified in front of his light. Because when Hashem's light is coming down, already when we're talking about Hashem as he connected with the worlds, all the worlds has to be by concealment. It's written in Tanya, because there is no creation without concealment. It's creation, meaning that it feels itself. It has an ego. And ego could be only when the creator by himself is hidden. So when there is creation, there is concealment. This is the Mishvah. This is the no, the world. This is this is how it works. Basically, when there is concealment, there is creation. When there is creation, there is concealment. And so for the worlds won't be canceled, won't be nullified in front of Hashem, Hashem is hiding himself. And he gave powers to the tzaddikim, to the righteous one, to get their reward, the world to come. What is the world to come? right? When we know that the neshama is going out of the body, that they won't need to be nullified in front of God's light. But this is only in a very, very little perspective of light. This is still a concealed light, but compared to our light that we have, this is great revelation. But the Alter Rebbe is talking here about the Yamot HaMashiach, the days of Mashiach, the days when the Mashiach is coming. And there he says that those prophecies that says that you will see your teacher without no clothing, no concealment, this is not the world to come, meaning Gan Eden. This is the world to come, meaning Yemot HaMashiach. And there, the Alter Rebbe says that your eyes, what will see? They will see God's essence. Okay, that's what we will see. And so this is a total different approach than the approach that we saw even according to the Ramban. So it's not only coming back to days that there already been. It's not only coming back to rules of nature that been different. Here we're talking about the essence of Hashem. We're talking about how a person will feel himself in the Yemot HaMashiach. He will feel himself totally different. He will feel himself as a person in the world of God, because God will occupy all of his time and all of his mind and all of his everything. Everything will be godly. This is meaning we'll all feel that we are in God's apartment, and God will reveal Himself 100%. So to explain it even a little bit more, what is this revelation without no clothing, without no concealment? By Chassidus. Truly, we'll say that the world is not a different entity at all, right? If you all learn the Sha'ar Echud Ve'emunah, it's talking about that the world is not different from Hashem. Hashem is the world. Only powers that the concealment powers that forcing us basically not to see that this is godly world for purpose that we'll have a free choice, that we won't be nullified, but truly this is all the world of God. And as the Baal Shem Tov says, right, that Hashem is actually creating everything every second. Le'olam Hashem dvarcha nitzav b'shamayim, says David HaMelech, and the Midrash quotes and says that this saying, that David HaMelech says that the saying of Hashem is always present in his creation. Midrash says that the saying, Hi Rakia, Hashem said that there will be a Rakia, there will be skyline. This skyline, this Rakia, is living because this saying, and this saying is being said by Hashem every moment. So our whole world is basically a godly world every moment. And if Hashem would like to cancel the world, he would like to destroy the world, what he will do, right? He doesn't need to bring no flood, no coronavirus. He doesn't need to do nothing like that. He just stop from saying the words. In our terms, this is the words that are giving livingness to the world. So this is how he writes, right? This is how he writes in Tanya. He quotes here the Tanya, that if the eye would give the opportunity to see, it would see different things. Sometimes, right, the Baal Shem Tov, it's a famous story, the Baal Shem Tov took his students and he put his hand on the shoulders of his students, and each student put the shoulder on another student. And so they were standing in a circle, and then the Baal Shem Tov would say to them, now we'll close our eyes, and everybody would close their eyes, and he would show them things that they cannot see in an ordinary look. This meaning that he gave the opportunity for the eye to see. The Baal Shem Tov gave them the opportunity to see things through him, because his eyes would totally do differently on the world, and not only this world, but all the worlds. Baal Shem Tov could see everything, and this is our Rebbe too. Basically, this is the Rebbe. It's the difference between a tzaddik, basically to the Beinani, according to the Tanya, not only by seeing, but his essence is totally different. He's a godly individual. All his 10 faculties, 10 attributes is all godly. So he has the opportunity that his eyes are looking differently. And he gives us the opportunity sometimes to see things through him, so we see it differently. So if Hashem would give us the opportunity to see differently, so we would see that all the world is godly. We won't see nothing that is separated from godly presence. But he wanted HaKadosh Baruch Hu to conceal himself for what? So we will have this free choice that we will feel ourselves. Our feeling of ourselves is even, in a way, it's a lie, because I'm not existing. So how can I feel myself? So this is what Hashem is doing with the concealment. He gives me the opportunity to feel myself. I feel that I have an ego. I feel that I have some reality. And he says, okay, now when you feel this reality, although I give you everything, I give you life every second, every moment, you will do with this feeling of yourself, of your ego, you will do the best you can. All right? So this is basically an idea of Chassidus, and possibility of Sharut. Yes. We'll finish here. Bezrat Hashem will continue on Tuesday, and we'll continue with this idea of how Chassidus is looking on it, and Chassidus is looking on it from the eyes of the essence of God will be revealed, and with Bezrat Hashem we'll finish this chapter. It's more like an introduction chapter. We'll finish that, and we'll continue to the next chapter, how we see it in halacha. Okay, now we saw different approaches. Basically, we'll summarize it in the next lesson. We have the Rambam, we have the Ramban, we have the Chassidus as it's looking on Yemot HaMashiach. And after that, next chapter, we'll jump to halacha, the law of Mashiach. Now we're only looking like at the philosophy of it, right? The perspective, what is the times of Mashiach according to understanding to the philosophy. So the Rambam says it will be great times that the Jewish people won't be controlled by nobody. The Ramban says we're coming back to the days of the first man. And Chassidus say, hold yourself. We're going to see Hashem by himself. The essence will be revealed. This is basically, we'll see how it all combines together. Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you all. Bezrat Hashem on Tuesday. All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All the best.